G'day fellas, and welcome back to the channel. Now round 14 we went 5 from 7 overall, and it was a shocking week on the margins, 1 from 7. And to back it up, this week we have a pretty decently hard choice. There's a lot of teams who I can see winning. Fortunately, obviously, I can't choose all of them. We saw a really crazy win by the Raiders. I mean, I don't really know how to feel about the penalty right at the end. Regardless, we got the win and we got the 1-12. Now the Warriors, I said they needed a win. This was going to be a massive win for them. I just didn't think by massive we meant 22 points. I had them 1-12. We still got the dub at the end of the day. The Bunnies really just played their game, and the Titans didn't play the second half like they typically do. Don't know what the deal is with them. I don't know why they don't play the second half. You'd think that this error would have been corrected by now. Clearly it hasn't. Sharks and the Broncos. Now, I have religiously picked the Sharks to win like pretty much every single week. This week we're going to change it up though. You'll see later on in the video. Broncos really impressed me down at Shark Park. Whilst it was close, it was a really good team win. And yeah, I'm back on the Broncos bandwagon. Not as much as everybody else, but they really impressed me in that game. Roosters and the Doggies. I said the Roosters needed a big win. I thought it was going to be 13 plus personally. Got to think a 13 plus is coming eventually. Bulldogs were the perfect team to do it on. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it done. Still, we did get the dub, just not the margin. Cowboys and Storm. Now, what to say about this? The Cowboys are proving again to be one of the strongest teams in the comp, only when they play at home. Not going to crap on them. 25-point win. We will take it, especially against a top 8 team. Unreal stuff. Really looking forward to them building some momentum. They do have a bye this week as well. So not this week, but next week. I don't know who the Cowboys playing, but it'll be hard to pick against them. And lastly, Panthers and the Dragons. We saw Cleary go out with an injury. But either way, the mighty Panthers stay on the top of the ladder. Dragons with another loss. Now anyway, let's get right on in to week 15. First up, we have the Titans hosting the Tigers. Now the Tigers were so close to knocking off the Raiders like we said. And again, the Titans just didn't play the second half. Now these two played at Leichhardt in the opening round, week 1. The Titans were able to get a nice win, 22-10. There is no Kieran Foran in this matchup. Keanu Kinney will probably get the 17. Last week he played at fullback, and that moved Campbell to the halves. I think we will see a high-scoring game here, unlike the first one. Phil Sami is playing his 100th game, the Titans winger. You really could go either way here. I'm really liking the Tigers footy lately, and this is the last time I'm sticking my head out for the Titans. I have the feeling the Tigers will get up, especially since I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I'm going to take the home team here, probably regrettably, 1-12. Titans, I'm warning you, this is the last time I'm sticking my head out for you to win. First game of Friday night, we have the Raiders hosting the Warriors. Now, the Raiders are getting very close to the top 4 and are currently tied with the Bunnies, Sharks, and the Storm on 18 points. Croker is set for his 300th game, hence why he sat out last week. And the Warriors are great at GAO. They've won 3 of their last 4 there. I think the key here is the Raiders are an extremely high-tempo team. They offload the ball more than anybody in the NRL. They're right at the top. And the Warriors need to be able to match that in order to stay in this game. The Raiders are 7 from 8. Can you believe it? You got to go with the safe pick here. If a team's 7 and 8, you got to ride them out until they either play a top 3 team or they fall off. I love the Warriors, and I love the intensity they played with last week. They're also a really strong pick here at GAO. I just think there's too much momentum favoring the Raiders right now. Croker's 300th game. They sat him out specifically for this game. I got to take the Raiders 1-12, but the Warriors could surprise me. Next up, we have the Eagles and the Dolphins for Friday night. Now, something interesting, Manly very often this season follow a loss with a win. They're still 5 from 6, 3 and 5 at 4 Pines Park. That was a lot of numbers. Turbo is definitely playing, even though the HIA or whatever it was in Origin. Jared Wallace and Milford from the Dolphins also accepted 3-game bans, as well as Brinko Lee and Tom Gilbert being out with injury. Hammer will play though, and so will Marshall King after getting injured prior to week 14. And Tafare is also starting in the centers for the Dolphins. Saw how good he was on debut. I can't wait to see this guy continue the momentum. He's an absolute beast. I really want to like Manly here, but considering they're 5 from 6, at the moment, and even though they play better at home, I like the Dolphins. Hammer will have a strong performance following Origin 1. He obviously didn't play against the Warriors. And Jermaine Ozako, I mean, this guy has been unstoppable lately. He's been scoring like every single game pretty much, and he's doing goal kicking. The guy is on absolute fire right now. Even though Manly's stronger at home, I like the Dolphins. I was high on the Dolphins all season, and then they started to kind of fall off a little bit, but I'm going to back him here. Don't make me regret it. Dolphins 1-12. Next up, we have the Dragons hosting the Bunnies. This is our first game of Saturday. Jay Arrow is still not back, and Cameron Murray is out with a groin injury. Latrell, though, is apparently back, though, so we'll see what happens. I don't think there's really much to say here. I love the Dragons at home. They play hard. But I'm taking the Bunnies 13+ until the Dragons can prove me otherwise. Next up, we have the Broncos and the Knights. I think after the strong Origin performance from the boys, all the spots are pretty much locked for the Broncos hopeful. They're going to put on a clinic here. Gagai and Ponga also get to strut their stuff in Suncorp one way or another, just not on the team they'd like it to be for. Now, I've been a bit hard on the Broncos lately, but they really impressed me against the Sharkies. And even though the Knights did really well against Manly, beating them at McDonald Jones, Manly is simply not the team that I thought they were, so no brownie points here. Cobbo's expected to play, Lachlan Fitzgibbon returning to the Knights, but the Broncos are just too strong here. I gotta take them 13+. Next up, the Roosters and the Panthers. Now, this game is great for one reason. Teddy versus Dylan Edwards. What are the chances the one man in consideration to replace Teddy gets to prove why a week out from selections? Now, Freddie, I'm pretty sure, needs to be admitted to a home at some point soon. He clearly has lost the ability to use at least 80% of his brain, so I don't know why he's still making selections for the Blues. The point is, I think Dylan Edwards is going to really prove why he needs to be the Blues #1 here. Now, Cleary's out. Coggins should start, and the Panthers seem really unpredictable without their star half. Luai's more of a running half. Yes, he is phenomenal when he is setting up tries, but this season they've been a bit few and far in between. I like Luai's grubber. He just doesn't really put it in play as much as I would like. Now, these guys played only a couple weeks ago, and the Panthers absolutely pumped him 48-4. I remember when Warrior Hargraves was arcing up to everybody on the Cowboys, and he was absolutely silent against the Panthers. Didn't want to get in that fight. Suoli'i is also out on a 3-game ban, and let's keep it simple. Because of the massive loss only a few weeks ago, and Dylan Edwards wanting to prove that he is the true Origin fullback, and whilst I do think this game will be a lot closer than the first game, the 48-4, I'm going to take the Panthers here, but, you know, it could easily be a 13+. I'm going to take them 1-12. Next up, the Storm hosting the Sharkies. Now, this is another super interesting game, and fun fact for this year, I've never tipped against the Sharkies. We haven't done every week of tipping, but every week I have tipped, I've done the Sharkies. I just think they're so much better than everybody gives them credit for, and they have by far the most overpowered attack. Stats back that up too. The numbers do not lie. Whilst the Storm are coming off a huge L to the Cowboys, I love them too much at Amy Park. For the first time this year, I'm backing against the Sharkies. Both teams are at full strength, and I think it should be one for the books. I'm unsure, but I have a weird feeling this is a 13+. We saw the Sharkies when they're not feeling comfortable, when they got beaten by the Dolphins a few weeks back. And if I'm going to go against the Sharkies, then I'm going to go all out and say it's a 13+. And we wrap up the week here with an absolute instant classic, Bulldogs and Para. Last time these guys played at CommBank, it was ugly. Not to mention Reid Mahoney is out for the game, and potentially so is Jacob Carraz. Ryan Madison could make a return after being projected to come back in round 16. And Mike Acevo leads the NRL at the moment with 15 tries in 13 games. The dude has scored 45 tries in the past 50, which is just unreal stuff. Video game numbers. Despite the historic rivalry, the Doggies have only won 3 of their past 15 against Para, and I think it continues here. The Eels aren't at home, so it's tough to pick them, but they've won 8 of their last 10 at a call. And let's be honest here, most Sydney teams are pretty much playing at home when they do play at a call. Not to mention the Parramatta is coming off the bye week. I've got them 13+ here, just like the first matchup. And that is going to wrap up round 15. I don't feel as confident this week. There's a lot of games where I could be completely wrong. And if there is a week where I think that I'm due for a below 50% win rate, it's going to be this week. So far this season, on the rounds we have tipped, we have pretty much a 75% win percentage, and I really would like to continue that here, but this week is crazy, so we'll see what happens. Regardless, that is going to wrap up round 15. Let me know your predictions down in the comment section. I always love reading them. Let's get a discussion going. If you made it this far in the video, then you are the real MVP. Hope the rest of your day's awesome, and from me personally, I'm out.